Week 1 of the 90-Day Organized Life Blueprint Challenge is all about self-awareness. On day 1, we did a full life audit, and on day 2, we identified our core values. Now, that took up a lot of time, which is why I did it over a Saturday and a Sunday. But the program also has small tasks that you can do during the week to get us closer to an organized life where we can focus on the goals and things that really matter to us. Today is day 3 of the challenge, and I'm going to be focusing on developing a time tracking system that works for me. I'm going to track my time for the next 7 days to get a better idea of how I'm spending my days. Time tracking itself has a variety of benefits, including increased focus and productivity during the day, where time tracking can significantly decrease the amount of time spent on a task. It can also help decrease time waste and distractions based on what we know about the science of behavioral monitoring. Behavioral monitoring is an intervention that I use with my patients and clients in my work as a clinical psychologist and coach. See, behavioral monitoring has a kind of magic to it. When you're tracking a behavior that you're trying to increase, we find that the mere act of tracking increases the likelihood that you'll engage in that behavior, while tracking behaviors that you're trying to stop almost miraculously decreases that behavior. This has been found in studies looking at health monitoring and health behaviors, where having a fitness tracker increases your health behaviors, as well as research studies looking at stopping negative behaviors such as smoking, where tracking the number of cigarettes that you have during the day decreases the number of cigarettes you have overall. And studies have found a similar response to monitoring your time, where the mere monitoring of your time decreases things that are perceived as being a waste of time. Several studies in the area of social psychology have found that people are notoriously bad at predicting how long it's going to take them to accomplish a particular task. In fact, I did an entire video on this, and I'll link it up above. It's one of my favorites. Since we're pretty bad at predicting how long things are going to take, time tracking helps us to get a better understanding of how long things actually take, as opposed to how long we think they're going to take, and it helps us in more advanced time management techniques like time blocking. But the reason that we're focusing on time tracking this week is to increase our self-awareness. Time tracking fosters a sense of self-awareness by helping us understand how we're spending our time. It can serve as a valuable tool for us to better understand our behaviors, fluctuations in our mood and energy levels, and can be used as a psychological tool for personal growth. So this week, we're using this self-monitoring tool to increase self-reflection and self-awareness. And what's on our time tracker is going to be a potentially valuable contrast point to our values list that we created in our last video. All right, so what are some tools that we could use to effectively track our time? First, you can do manual time tracking using a pen and paper. I have a time tracking sheet in the 90-Day Organized Life Blueprint workbook, and the first week of that workbook could be downloaded for free using the link down below. But you don't need a fancy worksheet to be able to do this. I do this in my journal, and I start by writing the time on the left-hand column, and then I write a little description about what I did, and every time I task switch, I write the time that I've switched tasks and the new thing that I'm doing. At the end of the day, I have a full listing of everything that I've done. There are also a variety of time tracking apps. You can use an app like Toggl or RescueTime that are designed for you to quickly track your time on the go. Finally, you could use your calendar as a way of tracking your time. You simply insert the amount of time that you spent on an activity in your calendar. It's important that you input the actual start and stop time for your activities rather than what you plan to do. So you need to use the calendar as a retrospective record of what you did rather than what you are planning to do in the future. If you know of any other time tracking systems, leave it in the description box down below. And now I'm going to share with you how I'm going to be tracking my time over the course of this week. I'm going to use a hybrid system, and that's because what works for me at home is different than what works for me at work. At work, I have my calendar open all day because my job is pretty meeting heavy, and I also use my calendar to block in time to complete specific tasks. So during the day, it's easy for me to manipulate those boxes so that they reflect the actual amount of time spent on each individual task. But when I wake up in the morning, I try to avoid electronics for anything other than my workout routines or listening to some trashy TV or YouTube as I'm working out in the morning. If I open up my calendar, I know I'm gonna get into work mode and I'm not gonna be able to fully enjoy my morning exercise. So my plan for this week is to use a notebook to document all of my time outside of work and to use my digital calendar to track all of my time at work. I'll check in with you during the week and let you know how it's going. Hi guys, I'm dropping in for a quick update. I'm about 4 days into time tracking, and I found that I really am hitting my stride in terms of finding a combination that works for me. I have my calendar up all day at work, so I'm still putting in everything that I do during my work hours in my calendar, but so I'm hitting into the weekend right now, and I found that I needed some other kind of like quick way to gather up what I was doing. So I found that having a tiny notebook like this really helped because I want to be present during things that are happening during the weekend. So I'm not necessarily reaching for my phone to put it into my phone, and I don't have my book opened up. So I'm kind of gathering up that I need a main way of writing things down that is in my bullet journal, as well as a digital way of documenting what's going on, and that is mostly in my calendar during the week. But I also have a backup to each of those. So if I need to, I have a little spiral bound notebook. And I think that the spiral really helps because you can kind of open it and keep it this way. I'm not trying to keep it as neat as I'm keeping my planner. And I'm just jotting in a few lines there. And I also have the Notes app in my phone. So if I don't have the notebook, I have that. I'm trying to stay consistent and really just documenting my time however possible. It does require you to bring all those things together at the end of the day, but hopefully it will be worth it as we're gathering up a good picture of how we actually spend our time so that we can move forward with identifying. Next is going to be kind of batching those things together and also how to optimize our time usage. So before we even get started, we really need to know what we're doing now to see how far we need to go. So I'm doing that. I just wanted to drop in and let you know how it was going and to let you know that it's not as perfect as one might imagine or as people might lead you to believe on the internet. So that's how I'm getting along. I will check in with you guys in the next few days.